So, James Bond. We know that they're gonna start thinking about a new one now that we've got past the mourning phase of Daniel Craig's era, as it seems like the Broccoli family, which again, I love the fact that it's owned by the Broccoli family, are officially moving on, and they've said that they are starting to look at actors for the upcoming James Bond franchise. They said, in their words, that they say that they're in the early stages, but I'm going, if you're now coming out publicly saying that you're in the early stages, probably means you've been doing this a lot longer, but you're only publicly stating, like, whatever you hear reported in the media is probably been going on a lot longer, but they're only just now coming out with it. So they say they're finally now beginning the search for the next James Bond, with the big caveat that whoever the next Bond is, they are expecting a 10 to 12 year commitment from that actor. I'm going, honestly, that makes sense to me because Daniel Craig was Bond for 15 years.
No way.
2006 was Casino Royale.
Holy cow.
Granted,
that's crazy to think about.
5 movies, so every 3 years. That logically makes sense.
Yeah, that's crazy though.
But to me, given the story direction that we took with Daniel Craig's Bond, and given that they're asking a 10 to 12 year commitment, I think that eliminates quite a few candidates, as I think it means that they're thinking younger. So I'm sorry, Idris Elba, but that probably means you're not in the running, as much as I would have loved that. It also, to me, kind of seems like Henry Cavill might be out of the running.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because, one, 10 to 12 years, a full-time major franchise commitment for him, when he's going to be busy with some other franchise, because I refuse to let that go. He'll be a star player for someone else, even if DC is circling the drain right now, as much as it's difficult to admit. It all comes down to Black Adam. Good luck, The Rock. You're going to need it. I don't see him wanting to long-term attach himself to any franchise. He's a hot commodity right now and being so tied down to one specific thing. But who knows? Maybe he really wants to be James Bond, and maybe that's why he hasn't called back about Superman, because he wants to do some other iconic franchise player. So, do you think we're going younger? And if so, now that we actually have an official, like, we're on the hunt for somebody, what do you think the Broccoli family is looking at, Josh?
You know, it's been 15 years since we've had to look for a new Bond. So I'm not 100% sure where Daniel Craig's career was before the Bond films. I wasn't exactly into movies all that much back then. But to me, in my thought process, I don't remember seeing him in a whole lot going into the Bond movies.
Tomb Raider.
No way.
Yeah, he was in like the second Tomb Raider.
That's crazy. Okay. Regardless, I just don't remember him being in a lot. So what I'm saying is I wouldn't be surprised if they do somebody who is up and coming, who is, not as well known to the wider mainstream audience. Who knows? Maybe they'll go with a female. Who knows? I don't,
No, they will not go with a female. Barbara Broccoli herself has come out and been like, yeah, we're not doing that. We might do more female-centric stories within the Bond universe, but Bond himself will never be a woman. I'm going, cool. Can we at least tone down the womanizing, at least, for this new person? just a smidge. Or if he does, hook up with a woman, just let it be a woman that he's willingly hooking up with. Don't know. What a novel concept.
Yeah, the Broccoli family seemed really steamed over those rumors.
Leave those to me. Okay, so, I just Googled British actors early 30s, because that's going to give me weird results later. Daniel Radcliffe. Josh and I would love it, but I don't think for his own mental well-being, I don't think Daniel Radcliffe wants to be attached to another big franchise.
Okay, but consider this.
A 5'7" James Bond.
James Bond, but Daniel's awesome. So he's jacked, he's handsome, but I'm just imagining. him like being the main guy of a franchise that is conceptually the complete opposite of the series that he grew up being a part of. So I just like it'd be so cool. I'm down.
Okay, looking at some other names that I think could be interesting. My doppelganger and constant runner-up for a lot of big roles, Nicholas Hoult, I think could be interesting.
Okay.
I've heard the name Richard Madden flown around quite a bit.
Is that John Madden's kid?
Yes. Also, it's got to be a British guy. Richard
Gotta
Madden was
be.
most recently Icarus in the Eternals.
Oh, dude, yeah, I can see that.
He's got the jaw for it.
Yeah, I can see that. For the jaw alone.
Henry Cavill, that's a pretty obvious one. Jamie Dornan from 50 Shades of Grey, his name has popped up quite a few times.
I don't know how I feel about that.
He's a great actor. It's just, unfortunately, him and Dakota Johnson both will forever be associated with that one terrible trilogy. Josh's pick, I'm sure, Taron Egerton.
That's my boy, man. You can't blame me.
Or, Josh, would you see too much Kingsman in him for him to be Bond?
You know what? Yeah, I think Bond would probably be a little bit too restrictive for his style of acting. You know what I mean?
Dang it, he's too old.
Who?
James McAvoy back in the day.
That could be
probably,
fun.
In terms of starting a new Bond franchise, he's probably just a hair too old, but James McAvoy, slept on actor. He's great. Although, he might be showing up later today. We'll say that.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. Oh, man. Well, yeah, like, there's just, I think there's a lot of people that they could go with.
The dude from Bridgerton, Ray
also true.
Yeah. I know his name gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
Like he's for some reason there's betting odds on who the next Bond is. Like
no way.
There is actually betting odds, and I'm going, why would you bet on that? And supposedly him, Cavill, and I think Tom Hiddleston are like the front runners. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get any official casting until like next year at the earliest, probably. And then they'll probably start filming sometime, maybe I bet you they don't start filming until like early 2024, but who knows? Maybe they've got some other stuff in the works. It's just a matter of like how much longer do we want this like between Bond movies thing to go? Because like I don't know. I think No Time to Die was a good enough note to send Daniel Craig out on. It wasn't his best movie, but at the same time, you got to keep the franchise alive, and I think a younger Bond is the way to go, obviously for the route, but like you don't need the immediacy reboot factor like you did with Craig or other Bonds of like the last one was so bad, we need to reboot it right now. Like I don't think that's the case here. So
yeah, no, I agree though, because I think the reboot, the trick I think that they're gonna have to deal with here, unfortunately, is that they've not confirmed anything, I guess, but they have made some allusions to, how old Bond actually is. So is this James Bond that we're bringing in the same Bond from, Quantum of Solace and,
how much of this is a reboot? Because, No Time to Die ended pretty definitively.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, so they're going to, because of a lot of the stuff they've said and kind of made allusions to in the Craig era, they're going to have to make some actual decisions and lore choices in order to move forward and it not be confusing.